Hi, everyone. Welcome to Meet the Mailers. I'm Paul Bobnak for Who's Mailing What, and today I'm talking with Jennifer Bellin. She is the Chief Marketing Officer for PFL. Now, before we get started, if you have any questions or feedback, please leave your comment below. You can show your support by tapping the like button, and to get notified of when we add new videos to our channel, click on subscribe. Now let's meet the mailer. Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for coming in today.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for hosting me.
Well, you're welcome. Let's start by talking about your background. How did you get involved with direct mail, and what does your role involve at PFL?
Yes, well, like you said in the intro, I am Chief Marketing Officer at PFL, and I have been a marketing leader for more than 20 years. And I am also a two-time customer of PFL as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so prior to joining PFL, I led marketing for Artemis Health, which is based in Salt Lake City, focused on HR benefits analytics technology. And then prior to that, I spent 10 years in marketing leadership with Paycor, which is a human capital management technology company based in Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I'm in a really fortunate position from my perspective to market a product that I have known and loved for years. It was probably about 6 years ago when I first learned about PFL. And I was curious about the solution because I had recently started leveraging direct mail programs as one of my demand gen tactics.
Mm-hmm.
And to say that my first attempts at direct mail at scale were a disaster is definitely an understatement.
It happens to the best of us, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I tried to send out 50,000 direct mailers on
Okay.
my own. Yes. And we didn't have any sort of partner to guide us. We didn't have any technology to manage the programs.
Oh,
So
no.
half of them came back due to bad addresses.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
We had a bin, or well, we started out with a few bins. Ultimately, we had a whole office filled with all these return mailers. And I actually had to hire a temp to help me to weed through the mess for over a month.
oh man, I can imagine. I can imagine the mess. Wow.
So I soon after decided to partner with PFL. And the rest is definitely history. Paycor and PFL have been working closely together ever since. So that was really my entree into direct mail. It was a disaster. And then
Right.
I learned the importance of a partner like PFL.
Right. Baptism with fire leads to success after that.
That's
Yes.
right. Exactly.
Nice. So let's talk about PFL and what type of direct marketing services does the company offer to marketers?
Yeah, so we are an end-to-end direct mail technology company. We manage all aspects of direct mail and make it easier for sales, marketing, and customer success organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Our technology helps our customers to automate, measure, and manage their direct mail programs. And our customer success team partners to create personalized and memorable campaigns, which we source, print, and ship directly from our in-house production center.
Mm-hmm.
And some of our customers, most of them actually, are using PFL to add direct mail into multi-channel programs. So they're doing digital ads and emails and phone calling and so on, and they integrate direct mail into that sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And we can do that really well by integrating with our customers' CRMs and marketing automation platforms, such as Salesforce, Iterable, Marketo, Eloqua, and so on.
Right, right.
And this really helps for deep personalization and triggered sendings. So for instance, you can pull in any data from your CRM and personalize your direct mail as much as you want using the PFL platform. You could put name, location, pain point, products your customer is using. You can even pull in images. So like if someone goes online and is looking at a pair of shoes and they didn't make a purchase, you can put the picture of the shoes on the postcard and just send it out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
Yep.
a lot of really infinite ways that you can personalize. And the other thing I would say is around the triggered sending. This to me is just so cool because you can leverage your data to send the mailers at just the right moment. So in fact, PFL marketing team uses this feature quite a bit, and we automatically send mailers throughout the sales funnel. So we'll trigger a mailer to go once a meeting has been set up with a prospect. And then once a demo is completed, that's another field in Salesforce, it just triggers the send. And then once someone becomes a closed won deal, then we send a welcome kit. So there's a lot of ways to trigger those sends. So you're just sending at the appropriate moment. And to me, I think that's one of the most powerful things that PFL can do.
Gotcha. So it just covers different parts of the sales cycle.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, you've been working with companies of different sizes with PFL. Does that mean that they all face different challenges, and maybe talk about some of what they could be?
Yes, for sure. I think the size of the company and especially the size of the marketing team can impact direct mail program execution. So there's probably 4 or 5 different ways that I see this. One is through creative. So smaller companies and teams often lack creative resources, so they lean much more heavily on the PFL customer success team to help with ideation and even design work. But on the flip side, larger companies often have lots and lots of approval processes, so it takes longer to get things over to us, to get things approved. They often have more regulations and policies they have to adhere to, such as government compliance, and that can hold things up. So it really is different just depending on the size of the company from a creative standpoint, for sure. Data challenges also. Clean and reliable mailing address data can be a challenge for both small and large companies, but I think smaller companies often struggle even more because they're just not as established a lot of times. Maybe they don't have as clean of a database, or they just simply haven't accumulated a lot of mailing addresses yet. So they lean on PFL's data team to help with mailing addresses, and they also often partner with vendors who can enrich their data. Like maybe they have some of the information, but not quite all of the information needed.
Right. Would that include I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, does that include the pain points that you mentioned too before?
Yeah. Tell me more about that. Does this include the pain points? I mean, it is a big pain point for sure for our customers. Yes. Data, and probably, yes, one of the biggest pain points, honestly. You always want more data. You always want your data to be fresh, and it's hard to keep it that way. Absolutely.
That's for sure. Yep.
I would say also smaller budgets for smaller companies can be challenging, a little bit more limits on what you might be able to afford to send. But we do offer a very wide range of options. So you can send just a very simple postcard, but still make it very captivating with a great message and a great look. And then we can send all the way up to high-end dimensional mailers, with all sorts of items in the box. One of the things I would say, back to my favorite triggered sending and targeted data-driven process, you can actually reduce your waste and your spend and generate a higher ROI by sending in a more strategic way. So by using your data to send just at the right time to just the right individuals, you really can, even on a small budget, be really impactful.
So let's talk about it a little bit more in detail. How can companies use direct mail to engage customers at like different points along the customer journey?
Yes. Well, as all marketers know, there definitely is a series of stages that makes up that customer life cycle. And we think about that all the time. You have the awareness stage, the consideration, the conversion stage, new customer retention, and advocacy. And we think about each of these with our customers and our prospects on how we can best target. And direct mail can be really impactful throughout each of these stages. So I'll share 3 examples. I won't talk about every single one of the stages, and we'll be here all day, but
please do.
I will share on a few.
Okay.
First, let's think about awareness. So a great first impression of your brand is essential if you're in the awareness stage. And so best practice programs actually use low cost direct mailers at the top of the funnel. You certainly want them to be high impact, but when you're really just introducing your brand and you're not sure if they're going to engage or not, it's nice to have a lower cost option. One customer that we work with, Eleanor Health, uses PFL to send thousands of personalized letters and brochures every week to introduce their services to new potential patients.
Okay.
And yeah, and they use our integration with Salesforce Marketing Cloud to send a combination of coordinated digital and direct mail touches together with their CRM data to personalize and trigger at just the right moment. And they've actually seen an increase of 3x on the leads that they're generating from their campaigns. And also, of course, by automating, they're saving a ton of time.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Nice.
Yeah, it's really, really helpful. A second stage that we could talk about is the consideration stage. At this stage, prospects are aware of the brand, right? But they have some pain, and I guess I should say, but they have some pain that you might be able to address. So this is when you educate more about the pain, how you can help. You start to increase your personalization, and you keep engagement high as possible.
Mm-hmm. Right.
An example here is Paycor. They do this really well. They have an email nurture program for prospects who've watched a demo online or they've attended a demo, but they haven't progressed further in the funnel.
Right.
So in order to boost that engagement with this digital nurture that they had been running for a long time, Paycor decided to add a mailer into the mix. And this mailer has a printed buyer's guide, literally talking to you about how to make an HR technology software purchase.
Okay. Oh.
And then they have a personalized note that can come directly from the sales rep with the sales rep's picture and their contact information. And then they have a fun item, a branded tile, which is one of these cool techie gadgets that you can use to track something that you might not want to lose. You can attach it to your phone or your keys or something like that.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
That's cool.
Yeah, and so they package that all together and then they send that within this cadence. And they have found that adding direct mail has increased their win rate and they're seeing a 15x ROI on this program.
Wow. Okay, nice.
I know. It's really amazing. The last stage I'll talk about, last example here is around customer retention.
Mm-hmm.
So many of our users leverage direct mail for customer retention, and some of the use cases are acknowledging personal or professional milestones. This might be sending something, maybe someone just had a baby, or maybe they're a customer at your bank and they just paid off their loan and you want to celebrate with them.
I like that.
Yeah. And then also having loyalty rewards programs, like maybe sending something as a thank you for referring new business, or maybe for a customer that's making multiple purchases. Driving usage and continued engagement with the brand is another approach. One of our customers' driven brands, which includes Take 5 Oil and Meineke.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well-known brands. They have a great example of this. For their past customers who are unresponsive to email, they actually send out a postcard to encourage them to return for their next oil change. And they use data in their CRM to make personalized offers based on the past purchases and services. And they actually send out an average of 3,000 customer reminder postcards every single day.
Wow.
And they're seeing like a 5% response rate, which is really well above an average response rate to a
it's pretty sweet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just some fun examples there. But yeah, there are countless ways to nurture with direct mail throughout the entire life cycle.
Mm-hmm. Well, how can marketers use different types of mailers to make their campaigns stand out in the hands of their customers? I'm thinking of things that create a customer experience and engagement.
Well, there are many, but I will just share a few examples. Some are flat mailers and
Okay,
some are 3D mailers, but I'll share probably more on the flat mailer side.
cool.
So because sometimes, it might be surprising the ways you can stand out with flat mail. Um, one of my favorites is the popcorn mailer. So this is a trifold mailer that includes a single serve bag of microwave popcorn in the mailer. And it's often used by our customers to encourage people to register for a webinar, or maybe to make sure they attend the webinar, send a little reminder to thank you, enjoy a snack while you attend the webinar. Sometimes people use it to accompany a long form piece of content, like they might put a QR code right there on the mailer and say, enjoy a snack and read this, white paper.
Right. Yeah,
And
I love it.
yeah, isn't that fun? And you
Yeah.
can actually send it on demand from our solution. You can send one at a time or 10 at a time, however you want to do it. And you
Okay.
can customize each one. You could literally type a different message for each postcard, for each trifold mailer,
Hmm.
addressing pain points. So it's a really fun thing for our sales reps, especially. They love this popcorn mailer.
Yeah.
And speaking of QR codes, that is certainly a nice way to stand out. QR codes for a while were they tried to be cool, but it was years really before QR codes really got their day. And I think it
Yep.
was probably in the last few years where people are using them all the time now.
All the time,
And
right?
right. And
Yeah.
especially for direct mail measurement, right? You can send somebody a QR code and then you can immediately measure whether they go to that personal QR code or not. And you can feed that information right back into your Salesforce application or Marketo and know
Hmm.
if they're engaging.
Hmm. Yeah. And
Uh,
every detail about that engagement along the way.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yep.
Some of our customer success managers actually created videos recently, personalized videos, and they're sending a note with a QR code, and then it goes right to this personal video specifically for that customer.
Oh, I
So,
love it.
isn't that fun?
That is
Um,
fun.
Beverage mixes are also big. So, like a little hot chocolate, coffee, or a lemonade mix can also
Oh,
fit in a trifold mailer. Isn't that
okay.
kind of cool?
Yeah, that's cool. Oh,
Yeah, Salesforce and PFL both use that quite a bit. Or sorry, well, Salesforce may as well, but actually Paycor in particular has used it a lot. I used that mailer when I was working at Paycor, and now I use it a lot at PFL. There's also these mailers that we call slide and reveal. It basically, think of like, you could have any sort of design, but I always like to think of it as like a stage, like maybe you have stage curtains,
oh, okay.
and pull it open and it reveals another message inside. Again, a nice flat mailer that just stands out. It's something unique. You're probably not going to just toss it. You're probably going to keep it and look at it for a bit.
And that extends the life of the mailer rather than just tossing it after, you know, 5 seconds.
That's exactly right. And I
Nice.
think the last thing I would call out is certainly it is hard to resist a 3D box, even if it's just somewhat dimensional, a small dimensional little box that comes to your doorstep or comes to your office with some insightful content and maybe a logoed item. So that's the other way I think you certainly can stand out if you're interested in spending a little more.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Those are all great examples. I'd love to see more things like that myself.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Well, about one of the markets that PFL serves is like healthcare marketing. What are some good practices for this vertical, including, of course, direct mail?
Yeah, well, healthcare providers like doctors' offices and hospitals use direct mail in a lot of different ways. In fact, I was just recently at a conference talking with a lot of healthcare provider marketers, and they love direct mail.
Mhm.
And so some of the ways that they're using direct mail would be for patient acquisition and retention, of course, sending out those appointment reminder postcards. And again, you can integrate all of that with your technology. You can say send email, now send follow-up postcard, or you could say patient doesn't prefer email, always send via mail. There's all sorts of things you can do with your technology to set that up. Patient onboarding and communication. So sending all the paperwork in advance, especially for people who are less savvy, but really any of us, right? We just don't want to have to fill out the paperwork while we're
I know,
sitting
I
there.
hate it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then also physician engagement, recruitment and retention. You know, you probably are hearing it in the news all the time. It can be really difficult to staff these hospitals right now. And so having like educational webinars or networking events and mixers can be really powerful. And so direct mail, either for the invitations or even for the follow-up after the event, can be really powerful. So I would say thinking about providers like doctors' offices, those would be some use cases. But then there's so many types of healthcare, right? Different healthcare companies.
It's a gigantic sector for good reason.
Yes. So payers would be another, right? So the Blue Cross Shields of the world, they also have a big need for direct mail. And some of the things that they would do, they would send mailers for new members to understand their coverage. They might send mailers assisting members to find in-network providers and services. There's also a big incentive for health plans to encourage patients to adhere to whatever their diagnosis and their treatment plan is. So they might be sending mailers about diabetes and the diabetes program that they should be complying to, or about their medications and other treatments. So there's a lot of use cases for direct mail for health plans. And I'll just give one example. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan is one of our customers. And they actually use PFL to send out federal and state compliance communications to members who don't have an email address. I mean, they might have an email address, but the health plan may not have the email address for them.
Right.
They're required to send out these compliance messages, and it has to be within a very specific period of time. And so in order to send those and track them, they use PFL to send out a very personalized message that pertains to their specific plan and regulations. They feed all that data back into their Salesforce Marketing Cloud instance, so they have a record that it was sent, because that's required by law. And they have to submit audits, all the time to show that they have done that. And so with that program, they've actually reduced the time spent on these mailers by 70%, and they've reduced errors dramatically too by using their data versus having someone type it in, right? They're just pulling out of their CRM.
Right. Yeah. No, that certainly makes sense, and that's a great use case for all that operational mail, because when there's no other way to get in touch with people, this is what you have left.
Yeah.
And it can be so much more effective, like you said.
And personally, I'm probably going to see that versus the billions of emails I receive every day.
Isn't that so true? I mean, that's it right there, especially when you have important health information to send to somebody, whether it's personally, like you said, patient care, or something that's a lot more about prospecting. When it's a mail piece, it really stands out.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about just direct mail in general. What do you think is the best value proposition for it, and why it works so well today?
Yeah, well, at PFL, we believe that organizations don't have a reach problem, but they have an engagement problem. Yeah, so engagement with digital assets, just like we were talking about, email, digital ads, it's declining because we are all drowning in these touches. And so marketers are looking for new ways to reach customers and prospects and increase engagement. And direct mail, I think it's the perfect solution. It's really hard to miss a 3D mailer or a colorful postcard or a healthcare, a piece of information that shows up in your inbox, in your mailbox, or at your doorstep. And in fact, we recently did a study with Forrester, and 81% of those B2B marketers that we surveyed told us they are very likely to open a direct mail package. And I think the other thing to say is, unlike years ago, direct mail is now highly measurable.
Right.
back into your CRM, right? And you can really see the impact. And so we believe that personalized, timely, direct mail is more important now than ever.
Mhm. Yeah, completely agree. And I think that attribution, like you mentioned, is just so key to getting buy-in from potential marketers.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're already well into the year. What trends do you see unfolding in direct mail, like right now, and going beyond into the rest of the year?
Yeah. So one of the things we're seeing is that marketers are seeking sustainable products, and they
Okay.
want to work with companies who have sustainable processes and procedures.
Okay.
Yeah, at PFL, we have a printing facility that is wind powered, and we partner with a company called Print Relief, which is spelled Relief, L-E-A-F.
Oh, okay.
And
Great.
for every tree that's consumed by the production of paper and corrugate products at PFL, a new tree is planted in a global area in need of reforestation.
Hmm. Nice. Very cool.
So that's definitely the first, probably leading trend that we're seeing. But I would say another is that companies are wanting to send from other organizations that give back in some way. So for instance, we offer coffee from an organization called Grounds and Hounds, and
Oh,
they are
wow.
focused, right? And they are focused, as you can imagine, on improving animal welfare.
Nice. Good
Yeah.
cause, favorite cause of mine.
Yeah, same here. And then also, we talked about it earlier, but triggered sending along the entire customer life cycle is definitely a trend we are seeing, especially as marketers become more sophisticated. They are seeing the need to and the value of sending direct mail throughout the life cycle, but also automating it, triggering it so it goes at just the right moment with just the right message using their data in their CRM. And then lastly, one that I think is super cool, I've been a proponent of for a long time, is incorporating video into your direct mail.
Oh, tell me
And
about that.
yes, this is really cool. So there are video cards that we can send where you actually have a video that plays when you open the brochure. It's actually embedded into the brochure. And these are becoming more and more popular. And I think I've received one maybe in the past 6 or 7 years, but they've been around a while. And so
Hmm.
I believe that they're still novel enough that you're not going to throw it out. If you get a brochure that's playing a video with sound, right? That's
No, I'll
so
never
cool,
throw that out.
right? And so it also works really well too if you have partners or resellers that you want to position your product, because you can put a little product demo in that brochure, mail it out to all of your vendor partners, and then they can just use that video, just open it up and show it to a prospective customer and share your pitch. So there's just a lot of really interesting use cases. And video, it's just, if done right, it's just an authentic and effective way to tell a story.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that's a terrific place to wrap things up today. How can people find out more about PFL for consultation or possible partnership?
Yeah, so I would say go to pfl.com. It is the best place that you can learn more about us, and you can request a meeting right there. If you click the pink button up in the top right-hand corner, it just says book a demo. You can click that, fill out a form, and we will reach out immediately when we get that request.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for being here today, Jennifer. It was a pleasure to have you today.
Well, thank you for hosting me, Paul. I really, really like what Who's Mailing What is doing for direct mail, and I'm honored to be interviewed.
Terrific. And thank all of you out there for joining us today on Meet the Mailers. If you have any questions for us or for my guests today, please leave them in the box below. You can show your support for the program by tapping the like button and click on subscribe to be notified of new videos when they're added to the Who's Mailing What channel. If you want to be highlighted in a future episode of Meet the Mailers, I want to hear from you. So reach out to me. My contact info can be found in the paragraph below by touching Show More. Thanks again for watching Meet the Mailers, brought to you by Who's Mailing What, and see you next time.